Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching Souq News.
Subsidy is not in oil, and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil.
Energy or whatever kind of off-grid solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is in no disrespect to anybody, it's abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, thank you, Grace Kamalafe, for the news update. It's time for news analysis, where we provide the major headlines and then we'll do the analysis. Trust us, we're always objective when it comes to analysis, and our team is ready for you this morning. We've been joined by Dr. Idauza Osamazi as usual. Good morning, glad to have you join us.
Femi, good morning. Blessing, good morning.
Good morning, sir. I like your cup.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, it was supposed to be like the plan for today, but something changed it. I won't give details, but you know.
I think I know why, and I'm happy. So that means that you don't get to oppress me here.
Anyway, the equation is balanced now. There's equity.
Yes.
That's great. All right, let's start with this story, grabbing news headlines about illegal universities. The NUCD, they clamped down on 58 illegal universities, uncovered them. And that sounds alarming, 58 illegal universities. And interestingly, the names of these universities have been released. You have their names on the NUC website, illegal universities. And they've also issued this directive that graduates of these illegal universities will be prevented henceforth, from parading their certificates. And then those who are also part of these illegal universities, according to information, they've been arrested. Some, they've been arrested by the DSS, I'm wondering, how did we find ourselves in this kind of serious situation where you have 58 universities operating over the years and they have not been uncovered until recently?
Nobody says they've not been uncovered. There have been always this delisting of university or listing of universities that are accredited and those that are not accredited. So that has been there for forever. You see, like I have always said here, fraud thrives when there is a pressure, and then of course you have opportunity, and then there's a ability to rationalize whatever happens. So they call it the fraud triangle. Now, on the one leg is as pressure. Now, what's this pressure? People want jobs, are thinking creatively of things they can do. And so somebody starts a lecture center, graduate it into affiliates, and then start university and look for people just for survival. Now, and of course the opportunity is that there are a lot of students who want to get into the university and they are not taken by JAM. So that creates the fertile ground for them to try. And now the rationalization is the leg which really for me is a critical issue, is the fact that if you are caught, what happens? So if the consequence is mild compared to the gain, then of course people are rational. That's why they call the rational choice theory in decision making. So you are a rational human being. You are saying, well, if I'm caught, what's going to happen? And over the years, people have been caught doing this and nothing has really happened. Nothing significant has happened. And this is where the whole scenario that we're painting now is thriving, because there are no consequences for bad behavior. And until we start to enforce righteousness, and that every bad behavior has, like they say in Newton's law of motion, every action should have equal and opposite reaction. So when force meets with force, you find a balance. And I think this is where Nigeria need to really up its game, where there are severe consequences for infractions and the breaking of law. Yes, some people have been arrested. We don't know who they are. We don't know who they are connected to. But you know, here is always man, no man. Somebody calls somebody. And until we get to that point where people have nobody to call, and they have to face the music for doing things that are not within the ambit of the law, these things will continue to thrive.
I think first, the question of what makes a university illegal and what makes another legal, it's basically accreditation. Have they been accredited? The courses taken there been accredited? So in cases like this, when NUC comes to say a university is illegal...
It's not even the accreditation. It's even having the license of NUC to even run the university in the first place. Accreditation comes later. So when you go to NUC and say, oh, I want to run a university, the first thing to do is to obtain a license to run a private university. So you send your documentation to NYC, to NUC, they process it, and they think that you are fit enough to run a university. Now then, they are also looking at now to visit and see, okay, you have a license, then you start to do your structures, and you put your structure in place. Then NUC want to accredit the courses that you're doing, that you have enough manpower, and you have enough equipment and infrastructure to run those courses. Then that's when accreditation happens. But these people don't have license at all.
You know why I asked that? Because 58 universities to be running without licenses. Well, I want to see the response from those named universities, because what you would find is that some would tell you they've been licensed, it's just that accreditation has not happened. It's not the first time that names of universities were published. But my fear is that because of the way the space at which private universities are springing up, it's turning out to look like what we have with the private and public school at the secondary school level, where you have some schools not accredited, and it will tell you, oh, not government approved. Some of them cannot, you can't take the WAEC exams in those schools. That's what we're almost seeing now with the universities, and it ought not to be so, because 58 is quite a large number. Now, before they started running from year one or even from the very first day, there's no way university can run in secret. You must know, because you need students, and then you must know that these universities have been running. For how long did they run? And how did you allow, or how did NUC allow that they run for quite a while before coming up with this information? And then to say that students who graduate from such universities will not be able to partake in the national service and employment and other reasons. Now, I do not know for how long those universities have been running, but I doubt it's just under a year. So that means that those who have been unfortunate to be in those institutions already have a problem. What happens to them? What happens to the students? Are they going now to move to another institution? Are they going to say, is the university going to say, okay, we are in the process of being licensed, or we're in the process of being accredited, so it's just a matter of time? Because even if it's just year 1 or year 2, that's a year or 2 years of a person's life and resources wasted.
Yeah, but you see, it's a choice. It's a choice. You see, there's no other way to rationalize this thing, except that the people who went there knowingly. They were not blind to it.
But did they really know?
They knew. They knew. They knew that this university don't exist. They knew. It's not as if they don't know.
Why would they?
They know.
I don't want to think that they knew.
Let me tell you something. You see, we cannot feign ignorance. JAMB write exams every year. And in the JAMB brochure, every single university is listed, and the courses that are available, they are listed. Now, there's no way you can go to a university without writing JAMB, and there's no way you can fill a JAMB form and find those university there.
But some universities have come up with alternatives where you don't necessarily have to.
There is no alternative. If you are not accredited, if you are not licensed, you are not licensed. Where do you find alternative university? You have university, and there is only one body who is conducting exam. Whether they are private university, whether they are state-owned university, whether they are federal government-owned university, JAMB is the only authorized institution by law in Nigeria today to be able to select people to go study a course in the university. Now, those days you say, oh, it was in book form. People may not know. But today, if you want to register for JAMB to be able to gain admission, you go online. Now, you have to select the university of choice where you want to study and the courses that are available. All these things are online. So there's no way you will click on any link that will take you to these universities that are so listed. It's not possible. So if people went there, it's not that they went there because they didn't know. They saw it as a shortcut. And because it's a shortcut to success, as it were, they made a choice. So it's a choice that is making. So for me, it's a rational choice. This person has taken a decision and said, oh, I want to go to university at all costs. Now, this is the fundamental. The parents, most also, you may say the parents are not aware, but the student knows that this university don't exist. And there are some people who are recruiting students for this university. Now, they are existing not in the, you will see them in major of Lagos here, for example. You see there are some university, pocket of university, they are all in the outskirts. And they are also looking, they know the kind of people they are gathering. Because it's really not for the academics, because in the first place, they can't even afford the academics. So this is one of the issues. I remember some years ago, there were, you know, that was what made Nigeria to stop satellite campuses. Because of the architecture that came from it. A lot of people were making so much money from students who were not coming. So what happened? The federal government decided to say, no more satellite campuses. Now, the National Open University was open that everybody can even do from the convenience of their home. Now, if you don't have the option of open university and you don't have the option of regular university, and all that you think that your knowledge is able to know is that one that is not registered, then of course you must be an accomplice. So that for me is what it is. Now, how do we even ascertain the quality of education that is delivered by this university that are not approved? That in the first place, we can guarantee that the people who are carrying those certificates, that they actually graduate in the real terms of it. So I don't think anybody needs sympathy here. The truth of the matter is that employers, and I think we should open all our eyes now and be looking out for names. So know which university you graduated from. So that if it's among the list and we know that at least you didn't go to a proper school.
Employers can have a rethink.
Well, what I was talking about universities creating alternatives, we're seeing some private institutions, even when they advertise, some say that, oh, for those who didn't get to the JAMB cutoff, or you can apply with JAMB, or there are other methods, some of them set up their own examinations, their own entry. So it's almost like, to an extent, that they can determine the entry. So this has become a practice over time. Now, you don't see this with public universities. You only see that with private universities.
No, public do. If you go to Unilag, you have JUPEB.
Those are also recognized examinations.
Yes. No,
this is set up by the universities themselves.
No, what you are doing here is, this is where the issues are. Now, when you do JUPEB in some of these federal universities, what EAP used to do is actually preparing you. In those days, they used to call it A-level. That's the kind of a thing it is. So people go to do that exam. And of course, even the school still have to pass through JAMB for direct entry for people who went through JUPEB. So what school have done is that they bring them together and they start to teach them and prepare them for like 100 level kind of courses so that they can transition to 200 level. But they can't go to 200 level until they pass through JAMB, which is the CAPS. So that center admission process system, which JAMB has put in place, is what guarantee any human being in Nigeria today
But how many of your students have this knowledge? Sometimes this recruitment starts from miracle centers. Centers where students are helped to pass.
And therefore we don't need to justify it. Education is a serious business. As far as I'm concerned, when we are talking about education, it's like somebody hiring somebody that you have gone through special center and they say it's a medical doctor, and then you lie on the ground for the person to cut you into two. This is what we're talking about. So we don't need sympathy for people who are going those shortcuts. The nation should enforce very severe consequences for people that are looking for shortcut to success. Nigeria must become sane, like everybody is doing everywhere. If there are standards set by system, let's obey system. Enforce righteousness, because the only thing that exalts a nation is righteousness. Sin brings shame to any people.
You know, yesterday we were still buffered by the certificate saga that happened in Togo and Benin Republic, and you know, we said it's been going on for years.
I said even locally we have plenty of them here.
This complements the argument, you know, and for years it's been there. You know, what I'm waiting to see is what NUC will do to uncover the owners of these illegal universities, or the administrators or people running these universities, and what you will find out. They are the powerful people in the society who are highly connected, because for these universities to have been in existence for years, and then they're doing businesses, collecting money, doing transactions every day, running different courses, you will discover that these people are highly placed in the society. There are people who tend to believe, or they act as if they are above the law. But thank God now, thankfully, NUC is waking up to its responsibility now to see that this thing is sanitized, and this will deter others too. No doubt there are certain students who will be taking advantage of, maybe due to level of ignorance and all that, or maybe some of their parents are not educated or well exposed to, or have a better understanding how the university system works. No doubt, you know. But as this is coming out, becoming public knowledge now, it's going to help a lot of people to make proper decisions when it comes to the kind of university they need to go to, and who to patronize and who not to patronize. You also find out that this kind of racketeering, you have some agencies of some of these universities too, who are serving as middlemen between the university and some of these students, collecting money, making money off them to offer them these certificates. But thankfully, you know, NUC is coming up with this big stick, and it's saying that those who have this certificate...
that stick is big enough.
Because what we might just say is the university blacklisted.
The only person I saw that has used that big stick was Adam Oshomole when he was in Edo State. All illegal secondary school, he closed it down. He demolished them. If you don't have license, you cannot operate. So I think that people must be, we face the brutal fact that when people are not qualified, things that they are not qualified for, they should not do it, because that would not give us the kind of the intellectual capacity that we are thinking we can to be able to compete with the other countries of the world.
All right, let's move to the banking sector. some days ago, or in 2023, the central bank lifted restrictions on banks operating accounts for virtual assets such as cryptocurrencies, and those who trade with digital assets or those who trade with crypto were quite happy. But the Central Bank of Nigeria says that there will be no cash withdrawals on accounts that are linked to virtual assets. Now, according to the guideline published by the CBN, issuance of third-party checks by accounts linked to virtual assets would also not be allowed. Only transfers into other or designated accounts will be permitted. So the bank has, the Apex Bank has ordered the commercial banks to open special accounts in accordance with the guideline, which shall be for the sole purpose of transactions on virtual and digital assets and not for any other purpose. So what's your take on that? People were smiling a while ago, but thinking, okay, we could make withdrawals now if we have accounts linked to digital accounts or digital asset accounts that run on crypto. But now there's a clause, you can't do that except you open another special account with which you can run that account.
You know, I think what CBN is doing is to be sure that depositors are safe and they are not scammed. And I think that's also the best practice globally. Most nations of the world actually has also put those restrictions in place. And I don't think it's peculiar to us as a country, because one issue that we have seen with this virtual asset is the father. Is like Methuselah, no father, no mother. So we don't, or Melchizedek, they call him, no, he doesn't have a father, he doesn't have a mother. So that's what these things are. And states are also worried. Who created the technology, who is behind it? And it will just happen, anything happen and something disappeared. I had experience with some people about a year ago. They had this color that took people cash away. The following day, the site shut down. They even made efforts to have even a physical office in Lagos. The day the app was going to shut down, that office was vacated that night. Completely disappeared into thin air, because people were looking at it as if it was real, and they are showing you that, look, this is real-time transaction that is going on, so you are moving money, people are doing, and now the people behind it, EFCC can't find them. They had even a SCOM license from EFCC, and they were using it on their site to advertise for people to put money. Now, as people were putting money and they said they are trading real time, and you can actually be seeing that the trading is going on, that this is AI generated. The day that is shut down, even the cash that people were paying into their commercial bank, they had moved it out. So these are the things that CBN need to guide citizens against, so that when people lose assets, some of them who are not able to take adversity fall ill, so people commit suicide. So I think it's the responsibility of government to ensure that things are regulated. And for me, I have always believed that the function of government is regulatory, to see how to regulate the power play between the strong and the weak. And if government is not doing that, then it's not fit to be a government. And this, in this case, and I think that's what CBN has done, to say, yes, you can do the virtual asset trading, why not? But it's had to be virtual to virtual. Let it not be connected with our regular currencies and deposit money banks operations.
Largely, the crypto market or digital currencies it's a global thing. Several governments or nations have made an attempt to regulate, but they realize that it's beyond them because it's a global thing. you can't actually regulate a market that is not domiciled in Nigeria, for instance. So it's a virtual thing. But what they can do is to come up with policies that can guide people in making informed decisions. This is exactly what the CBN is trying to do. Remember at the time, they had to ban commercial banks from engaging in this kind of transactions. And now, but they have come up with the reality that, yes, it's something we have to deal with because it's a reality in the global market. And so what they're trying to do is to see instill sense of professionalism, sense of responsibility for people to even have a proper understanding of how it works and them to know what is expected of them, for them not to be victims of, or for them not to lose their money. So I think it's a step in the right direction. It's just that it's a matter of moments or months people get to understand how these things works. So what they need to do is to open special account, not just regular accounts, and their transactions, their details are linked to it. So it's a virtual thing, and I think it's a good development just to ensure that we won't have a repeat of what happened in the past where people fall victims of Ponzi schemes. You remember what happened with MMM and all that, you know. I don't like mentioning that name, but, you know, it's a lesson for us to know that it's important for these things, even if you can absolutely regulate it, but for the CBN to come up with policies to guide people, and then people seek knowledge. You always be a victim of what you don't know. So if you want to play in that market, it's important you have a better understanding.
Yes, I like that the CBN is creating alternatives and not just putting an outright ban on it. It's like you said, they've come to the knowledge that you can't just restrict this thing totally. People still find a way to do it to make it easy. Even while you also,
value, you know,
yes,
Bitcoin is over $45,000,
and there are lots of people trading
value with that kind of, you know,
people trading in
exactly.
digital assets. It's become something that you cannot stop. The world is going in that direction for those who are comfortable enough to trade with digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and things like that. So it helps them monitor. The special account will help them monitor, and they see that they will monitor on a continuous basis. So let's see what happens with that over time.
Yeah, but you see, the technology around it is that a lot of people here have said that it's a very strong technology, blockchain technology, that is driving the crypto market. It's a strong technology, and even states are already adopting it because of the double verification ledger that you have in place, that if you have to change a particular information, it becomes absolutely difficult. And that's where you are seeing people using the non-fungible tokens today to store their data so that nobody in the whole world can copyright that data. So once it's stored in that blockchain technology, it's internal to you, except you sell the right. Nobody have access to it. But these are possibilities. But then, of course, the risk is also high in terms of what could happen, especially with the growing knowledge of humans, that humans can build a system. You know, it's easier to build. It's simpler to destroy than to build. Yeah, so one hacker can get into that thing and crumble the whole thing, and then the whole world is tumbled down. But I think people also need to, with discretion, put value there that may not matter so much.
Let me ask you, are you aware that the Nigerian Railway Corporation is making moves to commence night operations, you know, come the second quarter of this year? You know, that's the next news, and that's what we want to talk about. The Nigerian Railway Corporation has announced plans to commence night operations in the second quarter of 2024. You know, the concerns about this has been the issue of security, even for road transport. When it comes to night travels and all that, the issue of security. But now, you know, they say they are putting plans in place to ensure that the issue of security is taken care of, and that you can embark on night journeys when it comes to using the railway. What's your take on this? You gave us a particular kind of smile, and I understand the meaning.
I know people are afraid to travel in the daytime with train. I know that. I hope that they have purchased the Rotimi Amechi's camera, as it were, because we had that conversation when the incident happened in Kaduna the other time. But I think it's not a bad idea. Other countries are doing so. What we have not done well is the security around the train system. Now, once we are able to build a system where people cannot have access to, it is easier. These train station tracks all across Nigeria, there are no fencing. No fencing. It's just on a bare. So if you're going to think of traveling, maybe they should be using it to carry goods and not people in the night, in my view, because that could really be very dangerous. But we'll say some people also are very, very, they are high-risk takers. They can actually also attempt to go by night. At least people travel by night bus. So maybe that's where the logic is coming from. So if people can travel by night bus, why not rain? But I think the difference may be that sometimes this track passes through the forest, unlike the road at interval you see communities.
What is important for me here is not just making the statement. I want to see the plans that are in place when it comes to the issue of security. And likely it's going to be very cumbersome for this corporation to be able to handle this, because some of this track, like you said, they are large in areas that are not manned, areas where you don't even have the population around these places. Some of them are deserted areas. These tracks have to go through some of these villages, because if you're traveling from one city to the other, what we convince Nigerians about this plan is the security architecture, the security plans being put in place. And you are aware of the issues we have as a nation when it comes to issue of security. We don't even have enough policemen. We don't even have enough, security men to police the 200 millions that you have. The statistics you have barely little above 400,000 policemen, and about 100 plus attached to the big men, the VIPs. So I need to see the kind of security architecture being put in place. Are they going to deploy technology? That would be fine. If that will give surveillance that will be needed for the task force, the security operations to move in and then see what they can do. Are they going to deploy, physical presence of policemen, which I think that's going to be very tasking. So this will go a long way to convince Nigerians. As far as this is not done, then there's we
are not talking police today, so I don't even think that you will have enough man.
Yeah,
even if you have 300, you have 2 million or 3 million police people, it will not be enough to man Nigeria. But I think it's just relying on technology, which most countries of the world have done. People are already turning robots into police, and because you have a lot of technology, if you go to police station in the UAE, you will think that you are in a banking hall. You will not be able to differentiate a police station from a regular IT space.
That's the level of technology that's
that have been deployed. So the entire camera is monitored from the office. So people don't need to be in the scene. So the police can see what is going on around from where they are. So they're all linked and they have a dashboard that people are looking, and they're seeing if there are movements that are suspicious, then of course they can raise alarm. Then that's when you need men, really, so who are waiting in some certain place to be deployed. But the problem here is the fact that there are so many ungoverned spaces in Nigeria, like you said, and these ungoverned spaces have been taken over by non-state actors that are also proven to be very more powerful than the state actors. Look at what happened in Plateau State the other day. And you will just imagine that over 200 people can just be murdered for a whole day operation. And there's no police post in those communities, no police station, no reinforcement. And they just did it and they went out for free. Nobody's caught. So these are the kind of things that are happening around us. And I think we must also have to, yes, while we are trying to do our best to serve our people, we must do so with caution so that we don't take people's life for granted.
I think it has to be the NRC, the Railway Corporation, that should put a hold on the night travel pending when these things are put in place, security measures. Because once they open or once they launch for night travels, you definitely get people who want to. Some persons, by their nature, love to move at night, and some will feel that it's convenient for them, it's faster for them if they travel at night, and then in the morning they're already where they should be doing their businesses. So you can't actually, you definitely get people to sign on to it, except the railway corporation does not start that night travel. If they do, you will find people. So I think first of all is to handle the security issues, because like we've all talked about here, in a day it's quite hard ensuring security. Let's talk about nighttime when visibility is quite low. You have most persons already closed, the security agents already closed. So it has to be something they put on hold while they ensure adequate security. And then talking about technology, this next story says that the International Telecommunications Union of the United Nations reports that Nigeria and the rest of Africa exhibit the world's lowest 5G coverage rate at just 6%. Now, when the 5G was launched around the same time of the COVID-19 pandemic, and you had people trying to come up with some conspiracy theory about how the 5G is to help spread COVID-19 and some other things, and after the time, it's been almost like 4 years now. One would have expected that is widely used, particularly for telecommunications. You have 5G network, your phones, your mobile devices, and all other internet devices running on 5G. But according to the International Telecommunications Union, Nigeria and the rest of Africa are just at 6% compliance with the 5G network. It also, when are we going to get there? Improved internet.
We're hoping so that we will get there someday. And I think in the first phase, it was just Lagos and Abuja that were covered. We have not even sufficiently covered the entire Nigeria with 4G. Some areas are still operating 2G as we speak. What's the level of penetration of the 4G in Nigeria? It's still abysmal. So these are the real constraint, and this is where, of course, we've been talking about the infrastructure deficit in most African countries. Only very few countries in Africa that you can point to that have successfully implemented 4G, and in terms of reach and deployment and use, apart from Rwanda, who took the risk really to ensure that 4G went around the entire of Rwanda, both Nook and Craning, up to the forest and all area. There's no other African countries that have been able to really put infrastructure in place for 4G. So 5G is also expensive. It's not as cheap, because you have to lay the fiber cables and then you have to make it go around the entire of the nation, and that requires a lot of funding. So this is where we keep talking about the infrastructure deficit that we're saying is going to take Nigeria some 10 years if they have to spend up to like $150 billion annually for 10 years to be able to reduce the gap in terms of infrastructure. Whether they're internet infrastructure, whether they are road infrastructure. He said even this is also really slowing down the process of digitalization of the entire government system, because the argument has always been that there are a lot of people who have no access, and because of lack of access, what government would have done that will make the system more robust and better, we cannot afford it. So we know that's where we are at the moment. The report is there. We see the extent to which it has covered. But I think ITU too should also lend help to Africa in this regard, to help us also implement and put fund on this infrastructure, because we're also supposed to be our brother's keeper, as it were.
It's not enough for them to tell us this is it, but how do you come
They can also support us and make us better.
I'm aware the minister, that was last year, where he addressed a press conference, talked about the issue of 5G. And like you said, the challenge here is the issue of infrastructure, which he said in the coming year now, 2024, that this is going to be addressed. So let's hope it's part of what you have in their budget provisions, if these facilities will be taken care of. And then the issue of 5G can be commercialized the way it ought to be. But let's wrap up this conversation with this story coming from the Ministry of Education and from the minister himself, saying it's the federal government's commitment to providing sustainable life skills through vocational education. You know, the norm or what people would always prefer, the priority is university education. Now, they want to also start to see how people can be looking at vocational training or vocational education as an option. And so the minister is emphasizing on training young people when it comes to the issue of vocational training. Over the years, we've been having this kind of vocational training, but what do you think should be done differently this time around to make it better than what it used to be? Maybe in the area of infrastructure, the training itself, and then the scheme itself, what can be improved so that at least this time around we get it better?
I think that's where the planners of education system and those who develop our curriculum are actually deficient in terms of thinking. You see, when people talk about vocational training, they're not looking at things that we're supposed to do to create, you see, a whole ecosystem where prosperity can happen. And I think that's what we should be talking about. We're looking at government funding education, even to the degree that is allowable by the UNESCO. We have not been able to go to that threshold, which is a fundamental problem. And of course, the distance between theory and practice in our school system is also fundamental. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was saying to my son, you see, you had an A1 in chemistry, but you don't know how to mix caustic soda with water to form soap or a detergent. So what is the usefulness of you having an A1 in chemistry? This is a problem with our education system, where we load our children with, a lot of theory, and they cannot practicalize what they're learning. And I don't think that is within the scope and sphere of education. Now, you have people who have studied computer engineering in universities, and they don't know what a hard drive looks like. That's horrible.
How did they manage to graduate?
Yes, of course. You have written your coursework. That's what it is.
So they do copy and paste.
Yes, you go to school. Just imagine, and I was talking, a friend was telling me recently what happened in one of the second generation university in Nigeria after the ASU trouble last year. They did 2 sections in less than 6 months. 2 sections, 2 academic sections in less than 6 months. Now, what's the lecturer going to do to really put something in the head of that child? Except that you have just given them certificate to move ahead. So this is a problem. What we need is, we need a kind of a curriculum design within our university systems or polytechnics, where the knowledge lab and the fabrication lab are in place, so that as people are thinking theoretically, they can go to the lab and practicalize whatever thing that they are saying in theory. That's the way to go. And that is what they should be investing in. That if somebody say, oh, I am a graduate of electronics engineering from a Nigerian university, he would have had a very well-equipped laboratory in school that he can produce prototypes of his idea, and then we cannot take them to companies for commercialization. Now, this is where we need to improve, and I think that's where the Minister of Education should focus on. That when people go to the university or they go to the secondary school and they are coming out, they should, when they say H2O, the process of water, they should be able in the laboratory to see this happen. And this is not in existence. So I come and talking, people are doing serious thing and say, come and teach a child how to do snaring, so that if he doesn't succeed this way, he can be doing snail farm. Then I made him to go to agricultural department to go and study agriculture and do horticulture or do animal science, whatever it is. So let our curriculum be designed in such a way that they become functional and active. And I think that is the job description of the Minister of Education. They should leave vocational training for people in the streets, in the society, who have to equip people who have no capacity to go to school to do vocational education. But people who are, you can imagine a child, for example, who is in a secondary school writing 8 to 9 courses. So they can't concentrate really on something. And they don't need the 9 courses after all. So this is where the functionality of education need to be emphasized, that those who design our curriculum must ensure that it is not just theoretical, there is some practice. And then, of course, people can do proper internship. The Industrial Training Fund is one agency that the Tinubu administration will need to go and investigate. They need to investigate them, because it's important that this agency of government that is supposed to ensure that the students who are training are having hands-on experiences in industry, so that they can correlate what they are reading in book and what people are doing in the factory, are not supervising in the first place. And even the things that are meant for the student, they don't get to them.
It has become more like a thing where, at the end of your internship, you just submit your logbook and that's it. Now, for those who will get paid some stipend for the period of internship, they get paid and that's it. But the thing is that we've emphasized so much of theory. In fact, even the way we do education, we're reactive. And that's why it's after the person has learned all the theories and come out of school, is trying to get a white-collar job with those theories, is unable to get, then they say, okay, go and learn how to rest knees, go learn how to do this, go learn how to do that. When initially, some of those things should have even been like, the way you have electives, you can have entrepreneurial skills as electives, that you take them while in school, to prepare you in case you do not get that. But part of the reason why it's even more difficult for some persons to get a job is because it's theory they've been raised in. So even when you get an opportunity, for instance, if you're a chemical engineer, to work in an industrial firm, sometimes you don't even have the skills. They still need to teach you in there. And during internship, that chemical engineer may have done internship maybe somewhere else.
If we don't even have capacity for engineering, why are we training ourselves on it? Look at what Bangladesh had done. Almost all universities in Bangladesh, all they are teaching is tailoring. You have degrees in textile engineering, textile science, textile technology. That's where they are having their competence. In garment alone, 2023, Bangladesh made $45 billion from garment making alone. Not the yarn they are selling, not the wool they are selling, just garment making alone. Their garments get into Europe, get into America, everywhere. There's nowhere in the world you get to that you won't see Bangladesh garments. So why are we not specializing? Must we read everything? So let's look at area where we have comparative advantage and leverage on it and focus on it. Somebody can go to university and he gets a degree in hairdressing.
The thing is, we've glorified some professions, because for that, in Nigeria, is a tailor. So it's just, that's the thing. We've glorified some professions and we've relegated some, forgetting the role that these other professions play, how key they are in our daily living, and how fundamental they can help us in generating revenue and even improving the economy. So that is the reason some persons will not even want to go into some kinds of profession. In some polytechnics, you even have these courses. But how many persons want to go into it? So they say, okay, I went to the university or the polytechnic, for instance, to study hairdressing. I could have just learned that at the shop close to my house.
Yeah, but the issue is that for you to be able to do that, that's why I've said here before, you know, in a Protestant ethic, they talks about the dignity of work and labor, that we should not discriminate people who work. What we should do is to see work as participating in the creative process of God. And that is what it is. Whatever work you're doing is important, and everybody is quite important. But you see, we need to be strategic in terms of our education. When, for example, India prioritize science, physics, mathematics, chemistry, and emphasis were on mathematics. And of course, this gave birth to computer science as we have it today. And that's why India remains the leader in software development globally. They have made a name for themselves in that area. China is not struggling with India in terms of producing software. They have made a name for themselves in hardware production. So nations are taking areas of competence. Taiwan, the small Taiwan, their specialty is in producing microchips. That's all. 65% of the microchip market is in Taiwan. And these are deliberate steps. You can't get to that level where people should know you for certain things. And this is where those who are designing our curriculum need to sit down and ask, where do we want to go? Where can we get leverage if we focus on these things? So that's my take.
Well, that's interesting. I'm aware there are some universities that have merged vocational training with the regular academic curriculum, and I think that's the way to go, because that's the reality in the society, and I think has to be replicated.
That's just survival strategy.
No, it's good.
And I don't think we should at this age be approaching development from survival strategy point of view. We should be intentional about what we want, and then of course put every resources within our disposal to pursue what we want. Even if it is this Nollywood that is doing well, we want to focus on. We can do it and do it better, and study it and let people get good quality teaching, and then we see this is what we are selling to the world is just entertainment, and the world is buying it from us. Everybody is having good living here, and we don't have problem.
The idea is whatever your course of study is, whether medicine or law, the idea is for you to have one or two vocational skills, so that wherever you find yourself, you can help yourself. And I think it's important so that there will be synergy between town and the gown.
And let's also elevate those who are at the town level, give them some form of dignity if it means that the vocational training becomes a bit formal for them, so that they too can parade some certificates, because we're in the era where seriously it's still about certificates. You have the skill, sometimes you don't have the certificates, you're discriminated against.
It's just a perception. If you know that the average tailor on the street has BSc in tailoring, and
you tell you have certificates,
masters in tailoring,
is that so?
the perception will change.
But it's you who is qualifying it. There are tailors, there are tailors.
Okay, there are tailors.
There are tailors who cut and sew for you and they collect 2,000. There are tailors who want to sew a dress for you, and the cost of the dress is, because of the material, is almost 10 times the cost you're going to make it, because they have put in their energy. These people call themselves stylists. They don't call themselves tailors. You are the one calling them tailor. So they are happy, and I have seen people who have actually dropped their certificate and thrown it somewhere, and they are doing this thing big time. But this is what I am saying. I have an auntie who trained in the US as seamstress. After taking a degree in Yaba Tech here, he went to the US to go and take a degree in tailoring, in measuring and cutting. Specialty. You see, they become dignified. And that is what it is, that even the system should be able to teach it. That's what I'm saying. They are teaching computer science in Nigeria, but we are not producing any computer. We are teaching mechanical engineering. We have not produced car. So this is what I'm saying. So when we are going to do something, let's put our heart in it and do it very well. So my message to the Education Minister is that Nigerian curriculum, school curriculum, need an overhaul. It's not a vocational study we need at this moment.
I'm sure the minister is aware of that, but let's see what they will do with that call to action. Thank you so much, Dr. Idauza Samanze, for your submissions and blessing. Thank you for your thought as well.
Okay.
Always a pleasure to be here on
Yes.
Souq News. Yes,
we'll do this virtually every day, so it's going to be another one tomorrow. All right, we'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll look at our big story for today, which is to continue our special series on the 2024 budget, and that will take place after this short break. Stay with us.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
Tafawa Balewa Square, TBS. Tafawa Balewa Square was initially used as a horsing ground called Lagos Race Course. The edifice was constructed by General Yakubu Gowon in 1972 and named after Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa Square is located at 45/57 Marse Bangboshe Street on Lagos Island, Lagos, and referred to as TBS. TBS is a 50,000-seater capacity venue and houses the Remembrance Arcade, the 26-story Independence House, which at a time was the country's tallest building. When Lagos served as the country's seat of government, the National Assembly Complex was within the TBS. Also in the square are the National Broadcasting Commission Office, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency Office, shopping centers, travel agencies, restaurants, car parking lots, and a bus terminal. Tafawa Balewa Square is adorned with beautiful statues of white horses and red eagles, symbols of strength and dignity. Our historic neighbors include the King's College and the Holy Cross Cathedral. Tafawa Balewa Square hosted some of the country's memorable events, such as the Independence Day in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence from Britain, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is celebrated annually on January 15. The edifice is a national cultural asset. Tafawa Balewa Square, Souq Enlightenment.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
My My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemere Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aite, Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruoje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
It's a national orientation agency. It's, as far as I'm concerned, very idle and unprofessional.
Government says that subsidy is not in oil, and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil.
Energy or whatever kind of off-grid solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is, in no disrespect to anybody, it's abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, glad to know you're still there with us. It's the Early Exchange, and our focus now is the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Sports. Always have sports and youth development, but this time it's Ministry of Sport. And the budget allocation for this year, the total budget is about 21.2 billion, whereas you have the recurrent expenditure to be 11.2 billion, sorry for that. Then you have the capital expenditure to be 20 billion naira. Looking at the projects to be implemented for the year 2024, you have 123 projects, which you have ongoing projects to be 87, while the new projects will be 36. Total budget for the Ministry of Sport is 31.24 billion naira. And that's what we're going to focus on shortly after this break. Stay with us.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemari Glover.
Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown. Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souq News. If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souq News. Here's the Souq News, who had the courage to transcend a locked-off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souq News. Thank you very much.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown. Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souq News. If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souq News. Here's the Souq News, who had the courage to transcend a locked-off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souq News. Thank you very much.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemari Glover.
Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aiche, Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruboje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
It's a national orientation agency. It's, as far as I'm concerned, very idle and unprofessional.
The government says that subsidy is not in oil, and government is not supposed to be paying subsidy in oil.
Energy or whatever kind of off-grid solution we will be looking at.
Today we are conducting mining today. Solid minerals, as an example, is, in no disrespect to anybody, is abysmal. We definitely need improvements in those areas. Of course, there are infrastructural needs.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, if you're just joining us, you're on to Early Exchange. You are here at the right time, because we're just looking at the issue of 2024 budget, and we're looking at the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Sport. That's about 21.2 billion naira. To provide a better perspective to these and, to widen the discussion, because earlier exchange will always get bigger and better, we are being joined by our in-house analyst. We have, to my right, Bayo Lauye, who is a veteran journalist. Bayo, glad you have join us this morning.
Thank you, Femi.
Your first time this year?
Yes.
On the set?
It's great.
So Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And we have Chooks, head of our sports unit, our sport department. Glad you have joined us.
Thank you very much and Happy New Year.
Yeah, we should sing, brother.
Happy New Year to you, Chooks.
Thank you.
I was hoping to see you in your favorite jersey, or should I wait for...
Which of the dresses?
Well, you have a particular one that Juvi likes to trouble you on, so I need to wait for Souq Sports in the afternoon to get
yes, we will sure be there. You get to see that Gunners kind of nice dress.
Okay, you said it by yourself.
You managed to say it. All right, let me start with Bayo. You have the budget for the Ministry of Sport for the year 2024. The total budget, 31.2 billion naira. I would like you to first of all react to sport administration in Nigeria. In your own estimation or assessment, how will you rate the attitude, the approach to sport administration in Nigeria? Let's start with that.
Well, let me say from the beginning that the Nigerian government has not paid enough attention to sports. Sports, as you know, is the only unifying factor for Nigeria now. It's when you have sporting engagements that you see Nigeria is coming together. And the Nigerian government has not paid enough attention in the area of facilities, in the areas of sourcing for talent, in the areas of even maintaining our national teams. Anytime our national teams go abroad to take part in competitions, they come back in disgrace and embarrassment to the nation. Either their kits are not properly delivered or they are not paid their allowances. So fundamentally, government has not paid enough attention. And we have not had enough committed administrators in the likes of Orokoyo, Patrick Opomo, and so on and so forth, who had the expertise and the know-how to run sports. And you have square pegs in round holes. And that is the beginning of the rot that we have in sports administration. So budgeting
31.2 billion.
31.2 billion for sports in Nigeria it's not news. It's not yet to who. I don't think we should rejoice over it.
All right, you talk about sport facilities. You talked about it. Let me give you this information. One of the capital projects being enlisted for the year 2024 is the perimeter fencing and the renovation of Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Let me take this back to Chooks now.
For how much?
Yeah, that's going to take about 1.7 billion naira.
Okay, should we clap or should we cry?
Well, let's see your reaction to that.
Yes, for perimeter fencing.
Let's even talk about the state of.
Let's look
how did we get to that?
Okay,
the stadium itself. Yeah, billions of naira.
Last week,
you don't look happy. You don't look happy about it at all.
The swimming pool has been turned to a restaurant, and the media sector is in shape. And I wonder what the government was saying when he said it had made arrangements with some business tycoons to repair the national stadium. I don't think that is happening.
Chooks, what's your take on this?
Okay. For the budget of the Ministry of Sports right now, just a few months down the line, it was Ministry of Youth and Sport. And if we compare the budget for 2023 and 2024, we will give a pass mark, just a pass mark, not that it's okay. Now, for 2023, they had a budget of 193 billion for both youth and sport. Now the
two ministries.
Yes. Now the sad thing in that budget was 164 billion went to paying salaries out of 193 billion. Then they had an overhead of 22 billion, which means the budget was just to, hey guys, are you still here? I think. So the capital project they had was 6 point something billion for 2 major ministries. So you now ask, oh, okay, who got what? How did? We're not talking about implementation, but now we have a new administration that have separated it. Okay, you used to go your way, do your development, sports, let's see what you can do. Now they've given us a budget of 30 something. Now the capital projects we are looking at, I think they have 5 major capital projects. They are building sports centers in the
6 geopolitical zones.
4. That's north, east, south, west. Then the one I don't understand is the perimeter fencing of the stadium. Now, let's draw some comparison. The Charlotte Stadium in the US is name branded after Bank of America, and they are paying $7 million every year just for name branding. So if you convert that to our naira, is almost the amount we're using for one capital project. But this is profit on a yearly basis. How many of these stadiums do we have? How many of these stadiums do we have? Federal government stadium, how many of them do we have? Why can't we turn this thing to business? I keep saying this. Government is, yes, they are good administrators, yes, good ideas, yes, but when it comes to running business, government has no, that is my take though, government has no business running business. Sports is business.
I think it's an overkill. When you say you want to establish centers, sports centers in the regions, we have about 17 stadia, about 17.
And sports villages.
And sports villages.
That are abandoned.
That could be renovated and converted into sports centers. So establishing another brand of sports centers doesn't gel with me.
Okay, so the budget in itself has top 5 capital projects, and most of them are talking about infrastructure. The fencing, the perimeter fencing, the Moshood Abiola National Stadium is one of them. We also have construction and furnishing of comprehensive sports center in all the wings at the ministry headquarters, the north wing, the east wing, the west wing, and then the sports center, the south wing, all in the ministry headquarters. So this infrastructure that are being developed, what should happen here to sort of give credence to the reason why this infrastructure has been set up? You mentioned earlier that we have some already. Why erect new ones? The ones that we have already, what's happening there? And the ones that are going to be built, what should happen there?
The National Institute of Sports was meant to train administrators, sports administrators. Government has forgotten about that institution, and it turned out very renowned sports administrators. Government is not paying attention to that. Developing and upgrading that institute to a university or Institute of Technology would achieve a lot for our sports. The government is not talking about that. Now you're talking about perimeter fencing for the national stadium. How extensive is the national stadium? Because we are hearing stories about land being reclaimed and all that. So I think it's a wrong priority. It's a wrong priority.
All right, Chooks. Now, for sports to grow, there has to be grassroots sports development. Now, this budget doesn't really talk about what will go into sports development. It only highlights there are together 87 ongoing projects, and then there are 36 new projects. So a total of 122 projects will be embarked upon. The others are not specified, but just 5 highlighted, perhaps based on priority. Where should grassroots sports development come in? How do we do that? Because the budget doesn't quite give priority to them from what we see.
Okay. My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching Souq News.